Liam had no idea what waited inside that dark cave. He only knew one thing: Zura was sure something powerful was buried there. They had followed old alien maps deep into the mountains of Zevran 4. Zura walked ahead, her glowing eyes scanning every rock and wall. Liam followed close, holding his scanner and light, watching the path under his boots. The entrance closed behind them like a mouth sealing shut. It happened so fast. A loud crack echoed through the air. Then came the sound of crashing rocks. The ground shook, and Liam lost his balance. He grabbed onto Zura, but it was too late. A wall of stone fell behind them, blocking the exit completely. "Zura," he called out, coughing from the dust. "I'm here." Her voice came weakly from the other side of a boulder. Liam pushed hard and moved some smaller rocks until he reached her. Her face was dirty, her silver skin scratched, but her eyes were calm. "We're trapped," Liam said quietly. Zura nodded. "Yes, the cave swallowed us." The air grew heavy and quiet. No wind, no light from above, just deep darkness and silence. Liam checked his scanner, but the signal was dead. "No way to call for help," he muttered, shaking the device. Zura looked at the walls, her fingers tracing old alien markings. "We are not alone down here," she whispered. "What do you mean?" Liam asked. She stepped closer to the wall. "This place is old, very old, built by my ancestors, but left for a reason." Suddenly, a distant sound echoed through the tunnel, a slow dragging sound, followed by a low growl. Liam held his breath. Zura turned to him, her voice steady. "It hears us." They moved deeper into the tunnel, not knowing where it led. The light from Liam's gear was fading fast. He handed a small light stick to Zura, who tied it to her arm. Every step they took echoed like a scream in the silence. Behind them, the sound came again, louder this time. Whatever it was following. Liam's heart pounded. He looked at Zura, who was limping now. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "My leg was hit by the rocks." They stopped near an old stone platform, covered in dust and vines. Zura sat down, breathing heavily. Liam knelt beside her, pulling back her pants to see the damage. Her leg was swollen and dark around the wound. "I don't think I can walk far like this," she said. "We have to keep moving." Liam replied, "That thing is getting closer." Zura looked into his eyes, her face calm but serious. "There's something I haven't told you," she said quietly. Liam froze, waiting. "My kind can regrow limbs," she whispered. "If you cut off my leg, it will grow back." He stared at her in disbelief. "Are you joking?" he asked. She shook her head. "It will hurt, but I will survive, and we can move faster before it reaches us." Liam stood up, pacing in shock. He couldn't even imagine hurting her, even if it would save them. But the sound came again, this time right around the corner, the growling, the scraping, the deep breathing of something unnatural. Zura gritted her teeth and pulled out a small blade from her belt. She handed it to Liam. "Please," she said, "before it's too late." Liam's hands trembled as he took the blade. The choice sat heavy in his chest. Could he do it? Could he cut off her leg to save them both? He looked into her glowing eyes, full of pain but also trust. Then he heard the creature roar, close now, just seconds away. He raised the blade, heart pounding, and whispered, "I'm sorry." Liam dropped the blade, his hands shaking and stained with her strange silver blood. Zura didn't scream, but her sharp breaths and clenched jaw told how much it hurt. She lay back, her body twitching, her leg gone just below the knee. He wrapped the stump quickly with cloth from his kit, tying it tight to stop the bleeding. The growling sound faded into the darkness for a moment, as if the creature had paused to listen. Liam held his breath and looked around. They had no time to sit here, not while that thing hunted them. He lifted Zura gently. Surprised by how light she felt, she said nothing, her lips pressed tight. Her eyes locked on the tunnel ahead. They moved forward slowly, her arm around his shoulders, one step at a time. The tunnel twisted and narrowed, the air growing colder. Liam's flashlight flickered and died, but Zura's arm still glowed faintly, lighting the walls with a pale blue hue. Strange symbols were etched into the stone, pulsing softly as they passed. Zura whispered in her own language, just a few quiet words Liam couldn't understand. The walls seemed to respond, growing brighter as if recognizing her. After what felt like hours, they reached a large chamber, hidden beneath layers of collapsed stone and dust. Liam laid her down on a flat rock and checked the bandage. The bleeding had slowed, and to his shock, the wound already looked different. Silver threads of tissue were slowly forming, weaving together like living string. Zura saw the look on his face and gave a small nod. "It begins quickly," she said softly, "but it takes time to grow fully." He sat down beside her, the silence between them heavy and strange. Liam had never imagined this kind of situation. When he joined the expedition, digging up alien ruins, yes, but cutting off someone's leg to escape a monster? That wasn't in the job description. Zura rested with her eyes half open, her breathing steady but slow. She spoke again, her voice just above a whisper. "Do you know why this place was sealed?" Liam shook his head. "My people feared what was buried here," she said, "not because it was evil, but because it was unfinished." He didn't understand. But before he could ask, a low hum began to fill the chamber. It came from the walls themselves, as if the cave had started to breathe. Liam stood, alarmed, turning in circles. The hum grew stronger, and the air thickened with energy. Then he saw it, an ancient console half buried in stone, flickering back to life. Zura raised her hand and pointed. "It recognizes blood," she said. "My blood must have touched the floor." Liam stepped toward the console, brushing away dirt and vines. The symbols shifted into shapes he could almost read. One of them blinked slowly, a circle inside a triangle, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Should I press it?" he asked. Zura didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Not yet. It might call something." Liam backed away, heart pounding again. He looked toward the tunnel they came from, listening. It was quiet, too quiet, and that made him nervous. He walked around the chamber, searching for another exit on the far wall. He found a small path almost hidden behind a broken pillar. "Zura," he called. "There's another way." She sat up slowly, wincing as she moved. Her new leg had begun to take shape, the skin shimmering softly as it grew. She couldn't walk yet, but she nodded. "We go there," she said. "That room is not ready." Liam carried her again, stepping carefully through the new path. The tunnel was narrow and steep, and the air smelled of metal and dust. Halfway through, they heard something behind them, a loud thump, then another. The creature had found their trail again. Liam moved faster, nearly stumbling over rocks. Zura tightened her grip around his shoulder, whispering something in her own tongue. The tunnel opened suddenly into another room, this one filled with shattered glass and old machines. They were inside what looked like an alien laboratory. Liam set her down near a rusted chair and searched for anything useful. Old cables, broken screens, and cracked vials lay scattered everywhere. One of the machines blinked with a faint red light. Still alive after all this time, he touched it, and it spoke in a soft robotic voice. Unauthorized presence detected. Liam backed away quickly, but it was too late. A siren echoed through the cave system, far away. The creature let out a roar that shook the walls. Zura looked at Liam with wide eyes. "You woke it up," she whispered. Liam clenched his fists. "And now it's coming straight for us." The sound of the siren echoed like a scream trapped in stone. Bouncing off the walls again and again, Liam froze, his hand still touching the machine. The red light blinked faster now, warning them, alerting something that should have stayed asleep. Zura's voice broke through the noise, not loud, but sharp. "We have to go now." He grabbed her without question, lifting her into his arms as she winced, her half-grown leg twitching with pain. The ground rumbled beneath them, small rocks falling from the ceiling like dry rain. Behind them, the creature roared, not in confusion this time, but in fury. It had found them, And now it was coming fast. Liam ran toward the far side of the lab, kicking open a bent metal door that led into another tunnel. The lights on the wall flickered as they passed, reacting to Zura's presence like before, but this time, it felt wrong. The lights pulsed like a heartbeat, fast, scared, warning them. He kept moving, boots slipping. On the dusty floor, the weight of Zura in his arms growing heavier with each step. She held onto his neck, her fingers digging into his back. Not out of fear, but focus. Her eyes were closed, and he realized she was doing something. "Zura, what are you?" "Mapping," she said quickly, trying to remember the old paths behind them. The roar came again, louder, closer. The walls shook. Ancient pipes burst open with steam, and the tunnel lit up red. Zura's eyes flew open, and she pointed to a crack in the wall ahead. "There," she gasped. "Through the vent, we can hide." Liam hesitated for a second, then turned and dropped to his knees beside the wall. The crack was small, but just wide enough for one of them. He pushed Zura through first, carefully, gently, until she disappeared into the shadows beyond. Then he pulled himself in just as a giant claw scraped across the stone where they had stood seconds ago. They crouched inside the narrow vent, breathing hard, the air thick and hot. The creature stopped outside, sniffing, its shadow passing over the wall like smoke. It growled once, then moved away slowly, the ground shaking with each step. They waited in silence, not daring to speak. After long minutes, Zura whispered, "You saved me again." Liam didn't answer, just leaned back against the stone and closed his eyes, exhausted. When they finally crawled out of the vent, they found themselves in a strange part of the structure this place wasn't made of natural stone like the rest. The floor was smooth and black, the walls glowing faintly with blue veins of light. Zura stared at them in silence, her face unreadable. "This is older than the lab," she said slowly. "Much older." Liam looked around, uneasy. What was this place? She stepped forward on her weak leg, limping but moving. "Not a lab," she said. "A vault." The room at the end of the hall had no doors, just an open arch that buzzed with invisible energy. As they crossed into it, Liam felt his skin tingle, like tiny shocks passing through him. In the center stood a floating cube, spinning slowly, with lines and lights running across its surface. It looked alive. Zura approached it and placed her hand on it without hesitation. The cube stopped spinning, and a deep hum filled the chamber. A voice echoed, strange and layered, like many voices speaking at once. "Request identified," it said. "Accessing memory." Liam watched in awe as light flowed from the cube into Zura's hand. Her body stiffened, her eyes glowing brighter. She stood frozen for several seconds, then fell backward, unconscious. Liam caught her just in time, holding her close. The cube kept spinning again, as if it had finished its task. Liam shouted her name, gently shaking her. "Zura, wake up!" She gasped and opened her eyes, blinking fast. "There's more than a machine here," she whispered. "There's a soul." Liam stared at her, confused and scared. "What do you mean?" Zura gripped his hand tight, her face pale. "This place wasn't just built by my people," she said. "It was built by a mix of many, including humans, long ago." He shook his head. "That's not possible." But she didn't argue. She simply said, "You're not the first human to walk here," before he could ask more. Another sound broke the moment, a distant screech, one they hadn't heard before. This one wasn't the beast. It was something else, something waking up. The sound didn't come from the tunnels or the beast. It came from beneath them, deep below the vault. Like something massive turning in its sleep, Liam stepped back from the cube, holding Zura close as she trembled in his arms. The glow in her eyes had dimmed, but her voice was steady. "It hurt us," she whispered. "Not the beast, the other one." A line of light appeared on the floor, tracing a path across the chamber. It stopped at the wall, and with a hiss, that wall split apart, revealing a downward staircase made of smooth black stone. Zura tried to stand, leaning on Liam's arm, her half-regrown leg shaking but stronger than before. Liam looked at her, unsure if they should follow the glowing steps or run the other way. But Zura didn't hesitate. "If we turn back, we face the Guardian again," she said. "If we go down, we find the truth." Liam sighed, wiped sweat from his forehead, and nodded. The air changed as they stepped onto the stairs, colder, heavier, filled with a strange pulse that seemed to echo in their bones. They walked for what felt like hours, deeper into the unknown, guided only by the soft line of blue light on the floor. The silence down there wasn't natural. It was heavy, like it had weight. Every breath they took felt watched. Every step made the stone whisper underfoot. At the bottom, the staircase opened into a giant underground chamber. It was vast and dark, with no ceiling in sight, and strange floating shapes drifting far above. In the center was a platform, and on it, something that made Liam stop breathing for a second. It looked like a sarcophagus, but built from metal and glass, and inside it lay a human. Zura stepped forward slowly, her voice quiet and distant. "He was the last one." Liam stared, stunned. "Who is that?" She touched the glass gently. "One of the humans from before. Your kind helped build this place long ago, before records were erased." He looked closer, noticing the strange armor the figure wore, a mix of old Earth tech and something alien. The man inside didn't look dead, just asleep. Zura turned toward Liam, her expression unreadable. "This vault wasn't made to trap something," she said. "It was made to protect him." "From what?" Liam asked. She pointed upward, where one of the floating shapes suddenly began to move, a metal construct shaped like a long serpent with wings, glowing red eyes, and smooth, deadly movements. "That," she whispered. "One of the last defense drones, programmed to destroy anything that tries to open the vault." The drone hadn't seen them yet, but it was circling lower, scanning the chamber. Liam grabbed Zura's hand and pulled her behind a large metal pillar, heart racing. "We can't wake him," Zura said. "Not until the drone is gone." Liam nodded, watching the machine glide through the air like it was alive. They waited, holding their breath, as the drone passed over the sarcophagus, and paused for a moment. Then it turned, slowly scanning the rest of the room. A faint beep came from Liam's pack. The scanner he had almost forgotten about had turned itself on. Reacting to the strange tech, the drone immediately changed direction, flying straight toward them. "Run!" Zura gasped. But Liam didn't run. Instead, he stood and pointed the scanner directly at the drone, triggering a burst of static that made it slow for just a second. That second was enough. Zura raised her hand and shouted something in her native tongue. Symbols on the wall flashed to life, and the drone froze in midair, twitching, fighting. The command, her voice grew louder, stronger, filled with power. The drone let out a high-pitched shriek and then dropped to the ground. Lifeless, Liam stood in shock, staring at her. "How did you do that?" Zura breathed hard, leaning against the pillar. "My blood woke the vault," she said. "Now it listens to me." They walked back to the sarcophagus in silence. Zura placed her hand on a panel beside it, and the glass slowly rose. The man inside didn't move, but the chamber responded, lights blooming around them like stars. Liam looked down at the figure. "Is he still alive?" Zura nodded, her face pale. "Yes, but if he wakes, the machine inside him might wake too." "What machine?" Liam asked. Zura looked him in the eye and answered, "The one that broke the world last time." The man in the glass coffin opened his eyes without warning. Liam stepped back in shock as the blue glow inside the sarcophagus turned red. Zura's hand shot forward, but it was too late. The machine in the man's chest lit up, a strange cube, embedded in his skin, pulsing like a second heart. He sat up slowly, looking around, as if waking from a long dream. His eyes locked on Liam, and he spoke one word: human. The voice sounded ancient, slow, and mechanical, like it didn't fully belong to him. Then he turned to Zura and narrowed his eyes. "You are not one of them." Zura lowered her hand and bowed slightly. I'm from a later line, she said. Descended from those who served this place. The man looked down at his chest, touched the glowing cube, and frowned. This shouldn't be awake, he muttered. Not yet. Liam stepped forward carefully. We didn't mean to disturb you, he said. We were trapped here, and we're just trying to escape. The man tilted his head, blinking slowly. Escape from what? As if answering his question, a loud metallic crash echoed above them. The guardian beast had found a way into the deeper vaults. Its roar thundered through the stone, followed by the grinding of shifting doors. Zura moved beside Liam and pointed toward the platform. That thing won't stop, she said. It doesn't understand you're not a threat. The man climbed out of the sarcophagus and stood tall, his body covered in a suit made of both armor and veins. He moved like someone still adjusting to being alive again. Then I'll remind it, he said coldly. He raised his hand, and the walls around them lit up with hundreds of thin blue lines. The vault responded to his presence, shifting, locking doors, rerouting pathways, far above. The guardian roared again, but this time it sounded confused. The man looked at Liam and said quietly, I was placed here to watch the heart. What heart? Liam asked, but the man didn't answer. Instead, he turned and began walking toward a large gate at the end of the chamber. Zura followed without hesitation, her leg now almost fully grown. Liam hesitated, then ran after them. As the gate opened, heat poured out, dry and bitter. Like from a furnace, inside was a huge hollow room with a pit in the middle. And floating above the pit was a sphere of light beating like a living thing. Zura stared at it, awe in her eyes. That's the vault's core, she said. But it's not just power, it's memory. The man walked toward the edge and knelt down, his voice quieter now. This is what remains of the world before the divide. Liam looked at the sphere, confused. What divide? The man stood again and turned to them both. Long ago, humans and aliens built this vault together, he said. They tried to share technology, knowledge, even DNA. But not everyone wanted that future, Zura whispered, understanding beginning to show on her face. The man nodded. Some believed the merging would destroy identity. Others feared the power it gave. Liam felt cold all over. And they destroyed everything to stop it? They tried, the man said, but the heart survived. Suddenly, the floor shook violently, and a deafening roar filled the room. The guardian had broken through the final gate, and now it stood at the entrance, eyes burning with red light. It was larger than Liam remembered, its metal body twisted with rage. Zura stepped in front of him, preparing to defend. But the man raised his hand again. No more running, he said. It's time. He stepped into the center of the chamber and touched the light. His body lit up, the cube in his chest glowing white-hot. The guardian howled and charged, but this time the walls fought back. Energy beams shot from hidden panels, hitting the creature and slowing it. The man's voice echoed across the chamber. You were built to protect, not destroy. The creature stopped mid-charge. Confused, shuddering, its metal limbs twitched, and sparks burst from its joints. Zura closed her eyes and spoke again in her native language, adding her voice to the command. The guardian screamed, its body bending unnaturally, then finally collapsing to the floor, silent. For a moment, the vault was quiet again. Then the heart pulsed once more, sending out a soft wave of light that washed over all three of them. Liam felt warmth, like something remembering him, accepting him. The man fell to one knee, weakened, his task complete. Zura helped him up, her face full of questions. But he simply said, "It's not over yet." The wave of light that came from the heart did something strange. It didn't just pass over them, it touched something deeper. Liam blinked as memories that weren't his flashed through his mind. Stars being born, hands building machines, voices whispering secrets in languages he never learned. He stumbled back, gasping, gripping his head. Zura caught him, her face pale. "It's connecting," she said quietly. "It's showing you the truth." Liam fell to his knees, his heart racing. He had seen a city made of light, floating above clouds. He had seen humans and aliens walking side by side, laughing, building, creating, and then he saw fire, war, betrayal. Something had torn it all apart. Something they had built themselves. The man with the cube in his chest was now leaning against the wall, his breathing shallow. The light inside him flickered, weaker than before. Zura knelt beside him, pressing her hand to his chest. "You're burning out," she said. "I was never meant to last this long," he replied, his voice calm. "But the heart kept me alive. Until someone came worthy." Liam stood up slowly. Still dazed. "Why me?" he asked. "I'm just an engineer. I didn't come here to change anything." The man looked at him and smiled. "Because you didn't run." Far above them, a rumble echoed through the vault. New cracks formed in the walls, and dust rained. Down. Zura looked up, then back at the core. "The structure is unstable," she said. "The heart is awakening too fast." The man nodded slowly. "It's reacting to us, to the choices made." "What happens if it wakes fully?" Liam asked. "Then the vault opens," the man said. "And the galaxy remembers what it tried to forget." They stared at the glowing sphere, its pulses growing faster, brighter. Liam felt the heat rising, the pressure building. "We can't stay," he said. Zura shook her head. "We can't leave it either." The man took a deep breath and pulled a metal shard from his belt. It was shaped like a key, etched with strange symbols that shimmered under the light. "This was left by the founders," he said. "A final lock in case the heart ever became too dangerous." Liam watched as he held the key out. "I need one of you to take this," he said. "The vault must not fall into the wrong hands again." Zura reached out slowly, but he stopped her. "No," he said. "It must be him." Liam's hand trembled as he took the key. "Why me?" he asked again. "Because you chose to protect, not control." The heart pulsed again, louder now. The chamber trembled. And far above, rocks began to fall. The man turned toward the core and placed his palm on it. His body lit up one last time. Brighter than ever, he looked at Liam and smiled. "Run," he whispered. A burst of white light exploded from the heart as the man merged with it. The ground cracked beneath them and walls split open. Zura grabbed Liam's arm and pulled him toward a narrow path, now glowing with exit symbols. They ran fast, barely dodging falling debris. Behind them, the entire vault began to collapse. But the path stayed clear, like the vault was guiding them out. As they reached the upper levels, Liam looked back and saw the last flicker of light vanish into darkness. The heart had sealed itself again. Deep below, guarded by memory and sacrifice, they emerged from the cave at last. The sunlight blinding, the sky wide and endless. Zura fell to her knees, breathing hard. Liam stood still, holding the strange key tight in his hand. He didn't feel like the same person who entered the cave. The world outside hadn't changed, but he had. Zura looked up at him, her voice soft. "What now?" Liam stared into the sky and whispered, "We make sure no one wakes that heart again." The stars looked colder now. Liam sat alone at the edge of a small cliff, the alien key resting in his palm. It pulsed softly, like a living heartbeat, slow and steady, as if it was waiting. Down below, the entrance to the collapsed vault was quiet, sealed forever by light and stone. Zura stood behind him, arms crossed, her eyes on the dark sky. Days had passed since they escaped the cave, but the memory stayed fresh. The roar of falling rock, the final flash of white light, the man's last smile. Liam hadn't slept much since then. Not because of fear, but because he kept hearing whispers when he closed his eyes, voices from the heart, from a past that didn't belong to him. Zura said it would fade, eventually, but he wasn't sure he wanted it to. They had reported nothing. No call was sent to the main outpost, no mention of ancient vaults or guardian beasts or machines older than time. It would all be buried now, hidden beneath miles of stone and silence. But the key remained, and so did the responsibility. Zura sat beside him quietly, her gaze calm and thoughtful. "You still think about him," she said. Liam nodded without looking away from the stars. He gave everything to stop it from falling. Into the wrong hands, he said. And now we're the hands holding it. She leaned back, resting on her arms, her leg fully healed, stronger than ever. He chose right, she said. You didn't take the power, you ran with me, you saved me. He smiled faintly. After cutting off your leg, he said. She laughed softly. I offered. A soft wind passed over them, carrying the scent of dust and new life. Far behind them, their small ship waited, ready to leave this place. But Liam hadn't decided where to go. Not yet. Zura stood up and looked down at him, her expression changing. There's something I want to show you, she said. He followed her across the rocky hills to a small clearing where the land dipped into a shallow valley. There, under a jagged stone, she pulled away vines and dust to reveal a buried console. It looked broken, rusted, just another piece of alien ruin. But when she touched it, a soft light blinked on. This was built by those who escaped the vault, she said. Some of them lived, scattered across the stars, hidden, waiting. Liam stared at the light, understanding slowly settling into him. They left clues, he said. Zura nodded. They feared history would be erased, so they planted seeds, like this one, he whispered. He looked at the key in his hand and back at the console. It was the same shape, the same marks. Without speaking, he inserted the key. The ground shook slightly as the console unfolded, revealing a holographic map. Dozens of stars lit up, each one marked with a glowing symbol. Liam stepped back, stunned. They built more, he said. More vaults, more cores. Zura touched one of the symbols, and a file opened, showing blueprints, messages, warnings. This wasn't the only one, she said. It was just the first. He looked at her, unsure if he should feel fear or hope. So what do we do? He asked. Zura met his eyes with quiet determination. We find them, she said. And this time, we make sure they don't fall into the wrong hands. The stars above felt less distant now. Liam stared at the map, the key still warm in his hand. He had come looking for old tech, treasure maybe. Instead, he had found a truth buried in silence, protected by blood, and passed on by those who remembered. He looked at Zura, then at the sky. You ready? She smiled. You cut off my leg to save me, she said. I think I trust you with the rest. They walked back to the ship together, the map still glowing behind them. The wind howled once, like the vault giving one final breath, and then it was quiet again. But above in the stars, the past had begun to stir.